Hi, my name is Reese, and welcome back to Reese's Species. So today I'm going to be doing something a little different, and I will be reviewing Temu spider enclosures. So a lot of these are listed as quote-unquote reptile enclosures, and so I will just preface by saying never use these for reptiles under like any circumstances. Literally none of these are suitable for any kind of reptile. Um, So I'll start off with one that's actually not from Temu. This one's actually from Daiso, and it's just a little like storage container. And I really like it because it has this little lip on it that you can open up, which is great for feeding. I actually bought two of these at a Daiso while I was down in Brisbane, and these are great. So I just wanted to add these in, just include these, just kind of like an honorable mention. But yeah, these actually work really well. The lid's nice and soft, so they'd be easy to put air holes into if need be. And yeah, so I just thought I'd mention these. They come in a few sizes. Otherwise, they seem pretty good, just as like a temporary kind of enclosure, or for young like funnel web spiders or tarantulas. I got from Temu. I got a 10 pack of these. So I actually go over these ones in my budget enclosures video, which you can find linked here. And so I go over them in that. They're good, they're great for slings. You'll find more information in that video. So this one, I'll start off with my first introduction to it wasn't great because it actually came to me broken, but that's probably more due to Ozpost and just getting it here rather than the fault of the seller themselves. But so I'll list pros and cons. Pros is it is clear acrylic. It's nice clear acrylic. It's nice and thick. It has a sliding lid with a magnet, and it has lots and lots of cross ventilation, which is really good. And the cons: the sliding lid is not the best, so it tends to catch. If the lid was, I feel like if the lid was a little wider, it would be better, and if the grooves, the sliding grooves were a little deeper, so it tends to catch while it's sliding or just not slide properly. The magnet is not very strong. It would probably be good to have one on either side or even one in all four corners. The ventilation is quite large for an enclosure of this size. I'd say they're probably like 1.5 millimeters. Could probably go significantly smaller for an enclosure this size. And also they come down a little far, so you can't fill the substrate up super deep. I personally would prefer it if this second row was above the first row and just have it that little bit deeper. But otherwise, I paid, I think maybe between $10 and $12 for this. And would I buy something like this again? Probably not. But was it worth the money that I paid for it? I'd say yes. I could see something like this being sold in pet stores here in Australia. But yeah, so it's decent. It's very small. You'd probably use it for maybe wolf spider slings or very, very young tarantula slings. But there are better and cheaper alternatives out there. Alright, the next one I'll be going over is this. So it's very reminiscent of, say, a takeaway container. It's very reminiscent of a takeaway style enclosure. So I'll start with the pros. The pros, I definitely like the lid. And I love lids that have this like split design so that you can use one side for feeding. It has an inbuilt water/food dish with this little ledge, and it has good cross ventilation. The cons are this is very cheap plastic, just like a takeaway container, so it's not very clear. The ventilation is quite large, so that's probably, again, that kind of 1.5 millimeter kind of gap space, and so it's quite large for the smaller stuff you put in something like this. This was marketed for like turtles and like aquatic stuff. Never put anything like that in anything like this. Another con is this is very flimsy. I think I paid around $6 for this. So would I buy it again? Absolutely not. Would I use it to put something in? Probably not. This is probably just going to sit on a shelf somewhere until I recycle it or find some other use for it. All right, now moving on to the more expensive enclosures, I have this larger one. So I'll go over the pros and cons for this one. So one of the pros is this thing is huge. This thing is massive. It's, what did I measure it out to be? It's like almost 30 centimeters or 25 centimeters by about 20 on the side there. It's a nice clear plastic. It's relatively durable, but it's still thin. It's not as thick as, say, the tarantula cribs, like medium slider like I've got back here. So it's nowhere near that kind of thickness, but it's, very, very similar. And similar in size as well. It's a little bit longer in length, but it's not as deep. One of the things, and this is a pro for me personally, is that it slides side to side rather than front to back. It's definitely more of a personal preference on my behalf, that I prefer things that slide side to side rather than front to back, as I find them just overall easier to access. It also has these little feet on the bottom, so it is raised up so that you can put, say, a heat pad or something underneath. And on the top, if you buy multiple of these, it has little grooves so that you can actually stack them on top of each other. It has heaps and heaps of top ventilation, minimal cross ventilation, but depending on what you're keeping, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's the slide is quite nice. It's not super like sticky or anything like that. It slides quite nicely. It has these nice strong magnets back here. And overall, I'm not overly unhappy with this enclosure and how it works. We will go over some of the cons. Like I mentioned, this is a thinner plastic. It feels cheap. I paid probably about $25, I think, for this. I do not feel this is worth $25. $20 maybe, but 25 and up, definitely not. The bottom is this kind of like cheap frosted plastic, and it's just overall, not the greatest, but for what it is, it's not bad. It scratches really easy too, as you can see. There's a few scratches on the top here already. So would I buy something like this again? Honestly, if I found these for sale in an Australian pet store for like $15-20, absolutely, 100% I would buy more of these. They're not that bad. They're a great choice for larger tarantulas, for wolf spiders. You could use them for scorpions. You could use them for millipedes. You could put nice pod colony in here. Anything like that. I actually really like this. Like I said, I do wish it was a little bit cheaper than what I paid for it, but overall, not bad. I'd give this maybe like a 7 out of 10 for what it is. Now we'll move on to the nicer enclosures. So these ones are more expensive, so they have a much higher price point. But they are glass, and so they would be more similar to, say, the like Reptile 1 kind of style enclosures. We'll start with this one. So both of the enclosures I'm about to show you were maybe about $35, $36 kind of dollars. And they took a while to come because they had to be shipped via sea instead of via air, because they came in quite large boxes. They are real glass, so they're quite fragile. But otherwise, they're not that bad. So this one is a front opening and top opening enclosure. You can see it has a mesh top, and that feels like metal. I'd say that's probably coated aluminium rather than being plastic, which is nice. The front opening has a nice latch on it. I quite like the latch on it. It's pretty sturdy, pretty strong. It even has holes. It even has holes to insert a lock. It has decent ventilation along here. Some of the downsides are it does have gaps near the door, and this is more just a personal peeve of mine. The lid doesn't have a handle on it, so if you want to get it out, it can be a bit of a pain, kind of fiddly to do that because it doesn't have anywhere to grip onto it to pull it up and out. It has holes so that you can put in like a thermostat or something like that. It's raised up. These are actually stackable. So you get multiple of these and you can actually stack them on top of each other. And again, it's real gloss. So for like 35 bucks, is it worth it? Probably not really. I'd probably rather spend the extra 20 and buy something Reptile One or Ecotech or Exoterra or something like that rather than buying it off Temu. Would I buy it again? No. Personally, not the biggest fan of these. For, like I said, for like 20 bucks more, you can get something that's just higher quality and overall better made. But I will probably use this for something in the future. It's not very big, so it's only like 20 centimeters by about 15 high. But yeah, I will definitely use this for something, but I'd never buy something like this again unless I'm buying, like I said, the Reptile One or the Ecotech. And the other one is very similar, almost the same, with the real glass mesh lid, except this one's just top opening. I've actually already set it up for something. I've actually set it up for a rainforest scorpion, a giant rainforest scorpion scorpelings, a little baby that I've got coming. So I've got that set up. You can see it's just like the fossorial version of the previous one. It actually stacks really well on top of that front opening one, which is nice. My favorite thing about this one is the lid. So you can see, for starters, it has these little areas here, so you can feed through cords and then you can shut them off, which is really nice. Big fan of that. So I really like the lid. So again, this feels like powdered aluminium on the mesh. I really like the latch. I much prefer this kind of latch over the latch that's on the Reptile ones, as I feel the one on the Reptile ones is relatively flimsy and feels like it's going to break. Whereas this one that kind of pushes up like that just feels a little sturdier. Obviously, this one from Temu is not the best quality, but if a proper like brand like Ecotech were to make something similar, they'd probably make it a lot sturdier, and I would much prefer a latch like this over the latches that they currently do. And I also like the fact that it has a feeding hole. So again, this is a personal kind of personal gripe of mine, I guess, is I don't like enclosures that open, like top opening enclosures that open back to front. I don't like it when I have to pull the entire lid off to access something at the front of the enclosure or to put in food. So stuff like this, with this feeding kind of portal into it, is awesome. I love this kind of whole general concept of the feeding portal, or like with this one opening side to side instead. It just makes me feel more kind of secure. Especially, say, should you have something in one of the like like the Reptile One T2 minis, like the 20 by 20 glass enclosures. Say you have a tarantula in there, you know, and you want to get in and you want to put in a cricket or put in like a woody roach or something like that, but their burrow entrance is right by the front of the enclosure. To put in the roach or cricket or whatever right by the front of the enclosure, you'd have to open the lid all the way, maybe even take it off completely, rather than just have a little feeding portal like this. You can reach in, you can put it straight in, or you can reach in with your tongs and, you know, do it that way instead. It just feels a lot safer and a lot more secure that way. But that's just my like personal gripe with them. So overall, this one, would I buy it again? Probably. If they were sold locally, I totally would buy a few of these. Is it worth the price? I'd say so. The T2, so I paid about $35-36 for this. The T2 Mini is, I think, around that $50-60 kind of mark. So similar size. The T2 Mini stands a little taller at 20 centimeters, and this one's only about 15. But I'd say that for the price difference, this is definitely worth it. And now I'm going to move into a shameless self-promo. So as you can see, I've set this enclosure up. I printed a little Pokeball because the scorpion I'm going to put in here I'm going to name Skorupi. So I figured it was only fitting. But I also have this. You can see, I'm sure you've noticed this by now. So if I take this off, you can see there's actually a little hide in there. You can see the entrance there. It's like a little underground burrow hide. I actually make these. I actually print these and I sell them on my Etsy store. So this is a personal design of mine. So it's held in place. It has this external nameplate held in place with magnets that allows you to open up and see your pet underground while still allowing them to feel secure in the darkness when the nameplate is on. So I sell these. I sell them. They're available in 12 different colors. And I sell them on my Etsy store, which you will find linked down in the description. So it's just Reese's Species, just like the channel name, just like my Instagram name. And yeah, so if you go to the link down in the description, Australian residents will get free shipping, free domestic shipping. Express still costs more, but Australian residents using the link down below will get free domestic shipping. Alrighty, so that will do for this video. So that's just, yeah, my review on some of the enclosures available on Temu. Once again, these are all listed as reptile enclosures. Never use them for reptiles, only ever use them for invertebrates. Don't forget to like this video, as well as subscribe and hit the notifications icon so that you get notified every time I upload. I upload once a week on Wednesdays. Visit my Instagram and visit my Etsy store. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.